What's good? You're listening to Culture Quest, where we ask the question, why are we like this? On this podcast, we explore culture, but culture that's specific to us as Bahamians, us as Black people, us as Caribbean people. I'm MCK, and I'm here with the homie from Time, Jay, and our dog Proof is in the spot as well. We're going to talk all things us. As always, shout out to Solid Network for holding it down. And of course, today we have a special guest with us as well. We want to welcome writer, creative, award-winning producer type stuff of the Gap Seed and a bunch of other dope shows. And the first Bahamian guy we ever had on the podcast to date, I believe, right? Right?
No, but
That's right. Oh no,
no.
no, no. We did have Dr. Nickel. Shout out,
Okay,
Dr.
okay.
Nickel. Yeah. So you close second.
Yeah.
JD, thanks for coming through.
Thanks for having me. Listen to me. Pressure was tall just now if I was the first female because I was been like, ooh.
Well, you are following up on the ball just so.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Okay, so
cultural
still,
angle.
still
I have,
tough.
I have a heavy hitter.
Yeah, don't breathe easy
Still
just
tough
yet.
act to follow.
I-
Okay.
As a wise Bahamian prophet once said, pressure dolly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna need everybody to lower their expectations really quickly.
No, you're strong.
Wow.
It'll be great. As per usual, we like to start the pod with some show and prove. And yeah, we bought this life and we can prove it. So we're gonna pull the culture card real quick. Jay, I don't know if you're ready to open us up. Open us up with your culture card today.
Um, my culture card it shows my seniority because I can understand now that lychee, after eating so much canap, is only canap bougie cousin. I feel like I Bahamian after to point that out to realize
right.
that after I didn't eat enough canap,
Oh man.
sweet and sour, honey in a shell.
Mhm.
And this lychee fight, lychee is only canap cousin who going to private school. Basically, that's it.
Yeah,
I Bahamian enough to identify that.
yeah, that's maturity right
I
there.
ain't even mad at that.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
I
Can't
ain't
be.
even mad at that.
that's a good one.
Can't be.
Yeah, no, that's good.
All right. All right.
What about you, Proof? What you got?
All right. Let me run some scenarios by y'all real quick.
Oh, flip.
No, flip.
We family having a grill session, right? You pull up. Uncle's like, "Yo, nephew was good." Well, in your case, JD, your niece was good.
Mhm.
Your response is, "I straight. I straight on." What that mean?
I saw it.
That means you ain't want nothing to drink. You ain't want no beer.
You good? All right. You roll up
That
to
could
the
be a
gas
couple
station.
lanes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Another scenario. You pull up to the gas station, see the man knocking you in. I got the latest in R&B culture and hip hop. I straight, bro. What that mean?
Get the hell away
I
from
did.
me.
I
I
need
don't
it.
want none of that.
I need
I
it.
am Bahamian enough to know that I straight could be used in multiple different contexts, and I know the definition of all. That's how Bahamian it is.
Okay.
You
I see
multilingual
you.
in the straightness.
There you go. I
Okay,
straight.
okay.
I straight.
I mess with it. Well, what about you, JD? Pulling your beam and God, what you got for us?
I think I got like when you at a party and you toting, I think everything is Tupperware. Like everything is Tupperware. Like I can transform some foil into a temporary
Mhm.
bowl so it can last long enough for me to get home. You know,
Yeah, that far is go a
I'm
long way.
crafty like that. I'm crafty like that, you know?
Mhm.
Oh,
Like
that's
Okay,
everything is
okay.
Tupperware.
that's
For the
that's
last drink, I
ancient,
jug up.
that's ancient technique to make the foil bowl technique.
Little
Yeah,
foil
Grammy had to
bending.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Top
yeah.
there.
Grammy had to teach you that.
Top there. Okay, we see
We
you.
got a professional foil bender in our presence.
Solid.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so
Happy to be
so
here.
so my beam and God stop. Yeah, if I see a puppy, I don't care how cute they is. I don't care if it's a Shih Tzu or a little poodle. Um, if I wanted to come towards me, it could be this sound every time. It could be, people calling their dog by their full government name. Oh, come here, Thurgood. No. It's every dog in the world know what mean. Every single dog.
Yeah.
I mean, it never failed me. I've never did that a dog, and the dog just look at me like I'm stupid. So, yeah, I know how to really call a dog. If just in case y'all wondering, I want
That's
free
it.
for y'all dog lovers out there.
The Bahamian dog
Thanks.
whisperer.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that's our pod cake training. Okay. Wait, y'all
Exactly.
really behaving in there.
We really be him and so. Yeah, so today's episode is brought to you by Bank of the Bahamas. I don't have that $40, sis. Apply for that loan. No, no, no. But today we're talking about gender roles, right? What is acceptable? What is expected of us based on our genders? What roles are we assigned? And how does it show up in the culture? And is there currently like a gender war going on? And if there's a gender war, who's winning? What's the metric? How do you win a gender war? So yeah, we get into all of that and more today on Culture Quest.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, so happy to have another perspective on the show. I know gender in itself could be a touchy topic these days. So gender is considered fluid now. So for the record, let's state how we identify just to set the tone for the context. I identify as a man. What
A
about
boy.
yeah, a man boy. Because a gal can be a too.
I, thank you, sir.
Fox.
I
Fox.
understand that. I identify as a brethren.
Okay.
Yeah, like a man brethren, basically.
Mm-hmm. And proof we got the long hair. We got people been wondering for 4 or 5 episodes now.
First of all,
What
you need
about
to tell
you?
us. You need to tell if you use Rasta or not, because
Mhm.
They identify me as Rasta. I just have the locks. That's all.
Yeah.
that's so behavior.
Okay.
They
That's about it.
identify me.
Yeah, they identify me as Rasta. I just
Mm.
get locks. That's all it is. But it's one of the
Yeah.
boys.
What about you, JD?
So I identify as a woman.
Okay. Okay. We have
Okay.
to clarify these days. So we established that. So now let's dig in. Let's have this conversation about gender. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I appreciate obviously your perspective. Obviously, we're a bunch of dudes sitting here. We wanted to obviously be fair and have female perspective on. You guys are part of the culture as well. So yeah, for instance, is it even cool to call y'all a female? Because I've heard it both ways. Like saying female is disrespectful.
Like
I don't
I
understand how
get
that works, but yeah, enlighten us.
you ever just like agree to like disagree? Because like I don't understand. Like I feel like it's the scientific terminology for it, but I guess it's in the tone of the way men say it. I mean, because tone is everything, right? Like I don't like I keep telling people it's not a matter of what you say, it's how you say it. So like if you be like you female, like ooh, who you talking to? Like and maybe that's the energy. Because you ain't
Yeah,
talking to a dog. But like I don't get it because like I mean that's what we learned in school. That's what I know it as scientifically. So I
Mm.
kind of don't see the logic, but I guess most of the time when people try to explain it to me, it's often a oh no, but I am a woman. Like it's a part of the name man. Like why would you take that away from me? I'm calling you a man. I'm not calling you male. But I'm like it also does the same thing on the flip side as well. So it's like man, woman, woman, and then you have male, female. So I mean, I'm trying to understand what the issue is here because there's like an equal equivalent to
yeah,
each.
yeah. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it feels like maybe it's loaded or something. But
Mm.
um, when I say it definitely isn't like it ain't meant to be like
I know, right?
a terminology. That's like
Derogatory term or
female,
something, right?
male.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
think.
I
got into
understand.
I
Yeah.
got into the most heated debate about this conversation, about this
Mhm.
topic in a conversation a few months back. And I'm like, there's no way that you're sitting here honestly trying to tell me that you're offended by the fact that I refer to you as female versus woman. I didn't mean it I didn't mean it in a derogatory way. I wasn't trying to be offensive or insulting. You are
Mm.
literally female. Only animal species are referred to as females, and I'm like, that's technically incorrect. But
I mean, technically animal species, but yeah, okay, that's
but
interesting.
Oh, okay. I
So
guess
and
okay,
I'm
so.
like, yeah,
we clarified that.
Yeah, I think
Um,
usually that's the argument with it. Whereas, hey, the way it's used, where instead of you could say this woman, if you say this female, it comes off away. So it's
Yeah.
always it's context and
I
tone. I think.
disagree. I disagree. We live in an age where everybody want to be so woke that they take offense to things that already existed long before us. Female, male, woman, man existed from men and women were in existence. Why now we want to add a derogatory term to it when it never had a derogatory connotation?
That's the
Everybody want to
development.
be woke.
That's the development of culture. But as culture progresses, sometimes we bring in things or bring in influences, and sometimes it be from like that wokeness from other countries. Whereas, hey, this over here is extra woke. We about to integrate that in our
I don't
culture
even
to
like
try
the term woke because it's
or
like,
Yeah, I don't
different
either.
thinking or what's not.
yeah, woke up a bad woke actually means to be like it's be like versus being asleep. Like woke, like when people try to use it in a derogatory way, it's like versus being asleep. Like you want me to be asleep? Like woke is to be aware, right? So people
Yeah.
use it, people use it now flippantly and try to use it to say, okay, you're being extra, you're being politically correct. But
Uh,
yeah, I agree with you saying too. It's like obviously you can make an argument, for instance, that like you used to own slaves and that was normal, and now you don't. So just because it always was doesn't necessarily in the strongest argument. I will say this: I don't think when dudes say female, a lot of the time is have any loaded
mm.
thing behind it. But hey, whatever y'all want to be called, it's y'all world. We just here. Um,
Hey, if you want to identify as a tomato, I support you. I do.
nah,
Hey,
man.
let's not offend our fruit sexuals, please.
No,
Wait, absolutely not. That's why I was asking, am I the person for this conversation? But like,
no, no,
nah.
no. Yeah. So tons of questions, lots of questions. It's not an interview by any means, so that's it's just have a conversation. But what would you say is expected of you as a woman in the Bayman context? And then I'll ask everyone else here, like, what do you think is expected of you as a man in the Bayman context? So, if you're given a summary of what is the ideal woman did you understand in our context, how would you describe that person?
The ideal woman, she's a wife, she's a mom, she cooks, cleans, services her husband on time. I'm trying to say that in the most politically correct way possible. I don't know. I feel like the expectations on women is just everything that they taught us as girls and some. Because I think like because the world is evolving so much, there's like we still are expected in ways to just academically be on top, to like professionally be on top. And it's just like, okay, cool. I mean, that's acceptable. And I'm happy that y'all are expanding these roles, or you're thinking of, okay, she can be a wife, a mom, and have a career. But it's just very interesting to feel like we're just I don't think it's anything with the actual role itself. I think it's more of the timeline of when people expect you to execute all of these things.
It's interesting. Yeah, you made a couple good points that we'll get into. But yeah, that's interesting. What about you guys? What do you think is expected of the baby man to be? Yeah, use a man. Like, what does that look like?
I can let Proof go first because he got the islands on his back, so his his burden might be heavier than mine. And he got to be a Nassau man. He got to be an island man.
Wow.
I guess the long and short of it is we're expected to provide whatever provision looks like. That's what is expected of us. That along with, I feel like that's the spoken expectation. We know that it is expected of us to provide. The unspoken expectation of Bahamian men is we're expected to be strong and emotionless, like just show up, regardless of what we're dealing with. It's expected for us to just show up.
Mm, I
That's the
get that.
unspoken
Yeah,
expectation.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that both of y'all talk about like the notion of expectations. We'll explore that. But um, yeah, what would you, Jake? What do you think in your experience?
Um, based on what I see and just engaging and living, the expectation of me as a man or Bahamian man is the one be a provider to a certain extent, be um emotionless but still emotionally available, to be in control of myself but understand that I don't control anything, um to be soft but yet to be hard, not too soft. So it's there like those. I think those are the expectations of a Bahamian man, and sometimes a man in general, which always is oxymoron. But yeah,
Yeah,
me.
that's interesting. Yeah,
Every
that's
bit of what you said except provision is an oxymoron.
yeah.
Like you could be in control. You could be in control, but it's there like no, you can't. You can't control everyone because as we progress as people, we realize that women have rights. So nigga, they in cattle. So you control yourself, but then like be in control, but understand you don't control that. You could be soft, but like don't be too soft. Like you still got to be a man's man. You
Yeah,
know, like
that's interesting. I think with both of your definition pretty modern, right? Because when I was growing up, be soft when you and get slapped in the mouth, like soft. Don't be soft. Be hard. Be a
Come
man.
on, be a man.
I
Right.
I was a little bit more. What's the term? Let's say I was sensitive as a kid. I was artistic, but no, but I was sensitive as a kid, and I automatically got the nickname Sophie Runks. That's back in the '90s. So
Softy
like
runks.
Sophie Runks. Oh yeah, so everything was Runks in the back back
they
then.
don't
So
even make runks no more,
they
Dread.
never made Runks no more. So I was Sophie Runks, but it was because I was saying things like please and thank you and I love you, uncle, and stuff like that. And that just wasn't really a thing back then. It's like you don't openly express love. So even some of the things you're talking about now, I would say these are modern expectations. And in the Bahamian context, like our daddy's emotion. What the hell is that? What is an emotion? Like anger might be a emotion, annoyance. So I think it's interesting, but like it's interesting that like the things you guys describe, even like the JD, right? There's a contradiction. Because I was gonna ask about the expectation now to like, you guys are earners too, to be a professional in a lot of instances. But like, is that an expectation from, would you say, men, or is it like something you guys have adopted with time? It's like, oh, we can do this too, so let's go build a house too. Let me go, let me go backflip off the roof too, because I can do it too. I don't know, like, what is it? Which is it?
Well, first of all, it makes me sad that when I hear you guys' expectations, like the things that you understand or feel as if are the expectations of you, because it's just like, especially when it comes to the oxymoronic things, because I get that, like the having to be like present as this hard being, but like also try and make room to be soft at some point in this life. That's very strange, and I can understand how conflicting that is, or how conflicting that could be. When I think about like what's going on with gender roles now, I think what I'm describing is something modern. Um, but culturally, you made a really good point of who is expecting what of you, right? So like when it comes to the status quo, the cooking, the cleaning, the being a wife, the being a mother, I feel like men have that expectation, and I think women are looking at other women like, okay, girl, like, what are you going after? And like, it totally depends. There are so many different things that contribute to this, right? You have
Yeah.
upbringing, you have the family circles that you've been around, you have the relationships that you've had and you've seen around you. So like, as a young woman that has seen like a lot of the women in my family do a lot for themselves, like it was only natural that it's just like, hey, I am completely willing and able submit to my husband. Like that's something that I had to come to terms with, because I may not have necessarily seen that all the time, but that's something that I decided that I want to do. So I still want to actually contribute to my family and my household in this way, but also I'm a go-getter. So I'm gonna go after everything that I want because I have an opportunity to do that. So I think
Right.
it's extremely new. So like as women are now like understanding their free will and their free choice, and especially in a time where women, it's getting a little bit dangerous for women to make decisions for themselves, like, and I don't mean that in we're making dangerous decisions, it's just that people, lawmakers are making decisions on our behalf that don't necessarily benefit us. So now that women are actually realizing that like we have free will in this, like we could do whatever we want, you know what I mean? Like, so single women are
Sick
now
the power.
empowering. No, it's crazy because, like, when you think about it, based on
Yeah.
women's upbringing, for the most part, We are to be seen and not heard. We are to be gentle and elegant to be able to attract who we want in our space. And you have to give room for the man to be the man and to do this. And everything revolves, or everything in our upbringing had revolved around being in relationships, creating these family units, and having kids, eventually creating a family. And so now that women are realizing that, hey, I have free will, I have choice in this, like waking up one morning and be like, I decided that I wanted to do this today, and you go after and you do it. It's something empowering about it when you keep your own promise to yourself. So I think now women are extremely goal oriented because they realize that the dopamine hit from that is a little bit better than me talking to the dude but who answering me every 3 hours. Feel like it. It's a better dopamine hit for me to accomplish a goal versus chasing somebody and pursuing a thing that I may not be ready for, or somebody else may not be ready for, or somebody may not meet me and be on par with me with. So it's just like now I think women are looking at other women like, girl, what are you doing? What are you pursuing? Are you in school? What are you doing? Going after this business? Like, what are you? And I think it's a beautiful thing that women are pouring into women in that way. But also, comparison is a thief of joy. So it's just like if people pull up on you and it's like, girl, I got like 3 businesses going on, it's gonna deplete you a bit. If
definitely
you're in a different situation and you have like kids and can't do or move or act the way that you really want to.
Yeah, you got into you went deep into the bag because I have a lot of those similar questions about a lot of that stuff. But yeah, that's a really good summary of your perspective. I think too, a lot of the times, like the things you guys expressing or that you're expressing is stuff that we navigate too. Because these days we expected to be good fathers. I don't think he was expected to be even a good person like 35 years ago, right? Or 40 years ago. Not in the same way. These days we expected to be fathers and show up for our kids and stuff like that when we didn't necessarily have that either. So there's this, I would say, this deficit that we're trying to figure out, but then it needs to be grace. But then, at the same time, we're being held to a standard that kind of like, you know what I mean? I think obviously this is uniquely like a black.
Yeah, it's a weird shift of power thing, and it happens in a lot of different dynamics, right? Like it's almost like something it appears in this way, and then because of that, there is an overcompensation of another completely different energy that has to now take over because now people need to stress the fact that this thing has been marginalized for so long, right? So usually it's just a shift in power. It's a power balance thing, and it happens in so many different ways. So when you think about like different movements, when you think about like like completely sidebar, but like just to compare it to, like I remember being in school and when I was in one of my American history classes and the question was asked by my lecturer do you feel like it was necessary for both Martin Luther King and Malcolm X to exist in this particular period? And I always answered the same way. I believe that both were necessary. It was, I can show you that I can act in this way, but I also want you to mess around and find out and see what happens. So it's like when you have that sometimes one outshines the other based on what's going on. And you find that there's an overcompensation of something else. So now you have like different movements that are trying to be a lot more aggressive, but they're not getting their point across the way that they needed to. There's a balance that has to happen. There's a conversation and an open dialogue that has to happen in order to balance those scales. But for now, it's always going to be a shift of overcompensation for something.
It definitely feels like that.
Yeah. My thinking with that is I think about balance, and that balance is such a tricky concept because not every situation requires balance, whereas it's in our innate nature as just beings to seek that. If you're cooking, you need more hot than cold. So it don't necessarily be a balance. And I feel like with gender roles, it don't necessarily is a balance because sometimes the certain genders carry more. And it all depends or is contingent on the situation. Whereas, okay, it isn't sometimes, or some I don't have kids, so I can't really identify, but sometimes the woman or the female gender has to carry more when it comes to just bringing the child into life. Like I if I could, like, I let me carry it for 3 months and you get six. Like, let me carry it for the first three and then you get six. But it's that, like, you require more in that regards. And then when you out, like, you on the sidelines, when you on the bench, it requires me more as far as provision, providing, like, things like that. So I think that once we let go of that tight grip where, like, it should be balanced, and understand that, hey, working requires some type of sacrifice, or getting something done requires some type of sacrifice, then we would be in a better place. Like, it wasn't a balance between Malcolm and Martin. We needed both of them. Like,
Yeah,
we needed Martin to say, hey, like, love one another, but we needed Malcolm to say, yo, like, F around and find out.
exactly.
Like, yo,
And
I love you all, but
Yeah.
F around and find out. So it's like,
and to your point, like, balance isn't necessarily we contribute the exact same at all points. It's exactly what you're saying. It's understanding the shift of life, understanding when I need to put 70 and you need to put 30, and being able to actually be able to shift that when it needs to happen. You know, the kind of way, like, it's about partnership. And I think that's the thing about it.
that's
It's
it.
partnership, and being able to identify somebody's cues and when they need something, because it's just a support system. That's all it is. It's just being able to say, hey, I did this thing for you because I know you don't necessarily like doing this thing, and you already busy with X, Y, and Z, so I got you, you know, the kind of way. And vice versa, being able to have a partner that you feel like you could lean on in that way as well. So when we talk about
Y'all super
balance,
mature.
giving it, you know.
Yeah, y'all really mature. This is a mature perspective because this is not the standard, right? Like, I want to move to the next question, which is basically, what would you say the culture favors more on the Bahamas, men or women, and
Gender.
yeah, gender wise, men or women? Who do you think the culture in the Bahamas favors more? I'll let you start off, Jay.
I think the culture favors men more, bro. Just our behavior culture. Just like,
Yeah,
yeah, like men.
why?
Just for certain things that are excused for men. Like, women would be hung at the cross. There really ain't that much, and well, depending on the behemoth you talk to and where they grew up, there really ain't that much expectation for men. Like, once you in the house, like, you really you,
Nah,
you
I don't
really
know if I
come
use
there
the
because
word expectation. I understand what you're trying to express, but I wouldn't know if I said there ain't no expectation. But yeah,
uh,
yeah,
like,
we get away more for sure.
yeah, like, I feel like it definitely favors more. Um, you could be the most basic, ignorant, uneducated man, but, bro, once you present a certain way and walk into a certain place, like, you about to get it.
Okay, interesting proof. Who? What say you? Men or women favor more?
Um, oh, for sure, society favors the man. But, like, I mean, it is obvious. We see it everywhere, everywhere. I mean, from the heads in society. From I don't even want to. I don't want to touch on the political side of things, but you see it. You see it from the top down, from the very big, the callers, the movers
But
and
mother bride,
shakers,
though.
to people who ain't got no say.
Y'all want more than mother bride? Come on, man.
I'm just saying,
I'm
bro.
I'm mother probably she ain't even this office woman, so that so when you look at it like that, it's like,
Hey,
Ah,
allegedly,
wait, nah.
so when you look at it like that,
allegedly.
like, mother
What
brother,
is it?
you don't push over. So
No, I mean she ain't.
True.
Mother Prada's the OG,
Yeah,
man.
my
True.
bride's a real nigga. But definitely, um, I think definitely men, because you got to think. Obviously, you got the laws. The laws themselves are oftentimes favor uh, the male gender. Obviously, you got the whole marital, assault thing, which I never really understood the debate behind that.
It's
Um,
BS, but it's BS.
because what I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what you're advocating for, but yeah, I would definitely say, um, it favors men. I think structurally, but I definitely think socially, like in the social contact, like women kind of edging us out. But anyway, what do you think, JD? Before we get into that,
Definitely in favor. Our culture is in favor of men. Men, there's an expectation that men make the big decisions. Um, Women are often placed in supporting roles in that instance, and that's a lot in a lot of different environments. And for me in particular, like coming home was an experience that I had to like acclimate myself to, especially like coming into the field of like media and production, because like my although I write primarily and what's not, that's really actually my bag. When I came home, because I didn't know anybody and nobody knew who I was, I kind of worked my way through the industry from like a different standpoint. And for me, it was production, and there weren't a lot of women in production at that point. And so you can like when I look at working environments, it's literally a test of what society is like, because it's like every work environment is a pool of different parts of society. And so anything that you see as an iteration that happens in a work environment or in a particular small environment is usually telling about what the society has to offer. And so it's still an adjustment to see women in different spaces. And I know that, and I don't want to go politically either, but I know that we have parties that have been empowering women. But I want to ask the question, how much of that is tokenism? You know, how much of that is having somebody to say, oh, we're inclusive? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, probably all of it. Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that I'm not saying that none of these women are qualified to be where they're at in certain places and spaces. But what I am saying is exactly how much do you consider those opinions from them? You know, that kind of way. So I do agree that our culture favors men. I get what you mean socially, but I think the social aspect of it is the overcompensation that we were talking about initially.
yeah,
Because
that's
like
interesting.
you can't get it if you can't get it law wise, you can't get it whatever else wise. I'm going to try and get it socially, which is the thing that women have access to right now. We can socially control our own narrative.
That's a
I have a
good point.
question based on
Yeah.
I have a question based on what you said. You said after coming back home, you kind of had to take a different route into getting into where you're at now, which was through production, which we know is a male dominant field, right? How do
Oh,
you
sorry, it
feel?
glitched out. It glitched out a little bit. Sorry, one more time.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying that the production role or
Mhm,
roles in production are predominantly male dominated, right?
mhm.
How do you think us as a society handle um when the gender roles are defied? Because we know our production is male dominant, and now we have a female in a male dominant role. I feel
Killing
like
these
we
niggas.
don't take and killing niggas at it. I feel like we don't take that lightly. What's your thoughts?
Yeah.
Um, so it was an adjustment, right? So like I think there's an internal conversation that people have with themselves, right? And this is let's go from an aspect of self-awareness, right? Because culturally we're not the most self-aware people, right? But if
No.
definitely not. I think although there's an internal battle that has to happen first, right? You have to decide how is it that you want to come into this environment. And I think coming into the role and after, like, because I'm very much so an observer, and I will watch everything in the room first and like evaluate how I need to insert myself in this environment according to what this environment setup is like. And so like you can either come in to male dominated roles and be considered one of two things. And I hate to say it like that, but you're either bait or you're a female dog. If I could give you two B's, you have to decide which side of the spectrum you're going to be when you enter this environment, because you have to be very conscious about what you say, how you say it, because people can be offended and can say or will change the narrative to be that gal just running on, the kind of way.
Right.
So like you have to watch yourself so much and temper a lot of your behavior when it comes to environments like that. And then I knew that I was coming home, which means they all this as us as a society already don't think that women coming into spaces that I as a man feel proficient in will know what they're doing. That's not the first thing that comes to a male's mind when they see a female walk into a room with them. Like it's like when a gal says she likes anime and the first thing a dude does is like
No.
Like it's like, do you not see the chain? Like, sir, like leave me alone. But it's often you have to decide whether or not you're going to be bait or you're going to be a female dog, and then how, when you pick that role, are you going to give yourself an opportunity to show that you actually know what you're doing? And it's very difficult. So like women navigating male dominated industries is a book within itself.
That sounds exhausting, to be honest.
It is because you have to be hyper aware of everything.
And it actually reminds me of like a connection between being in white spaces, for instance, like working in other countries in North America, and it's like you're the black guy in the room, and you have to navigate in this nuance, and you get sometimes they'll use your language back to you, but like it ain't the same thing, and it is exhausting to sort of like try to show up and be a version of what's expected. So yeah, I could definitely see it. I think you articulated that pretty clear, like what that could feel like, because you want to do things for sure, sometimes 3 things, but I think that's a really good point. I wanted to ask before we move on, is would you go to the extent of saying that we have a misogynistic culture? Is it to that level in your opinion?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In what way?
Like, you think so?
I feel like somebody said it on Twitter one day where we were like, I think we misunderstand that the people that we have conversations with, even when you the timeline. Yes, people talking foolishness, but most of the time, like 70% of the time, you know that most of these people have sense, right? They have some you hope that some level of sense in the room with them. But like it's weird. Like I don't know. I feel like we think a lot of ourselves because of our circles. We think a lot more of our society because of our circles, but we don't realize that our circles are the minority. So although I am appreciative to be here in this room with men that understand that marital assault is not a conversation to even be had, y'all are still on the minority when it comes to the populace, the general populace, and what it is that they believe. So it's like, yeah, I think a good test pool of that is COVID and just seeing the things that happened domestically and how you realize that a lot of people just don't necessarily like their people. They are there with them because they're supposed to accomplish a thing. And that's
talking about like romantically.
Yeah, that's a much larger conversation. But like there was such a spike in domestic violence, and you realize that, oh, these people really didn't like each other from the get-go, and they didn't like each other because they just trapped because they had journey together. You know what I mean? Like so
oh man.
That's in itself show the cracks in the gender roles or the gender expectations, because back in the day, a lot of things that required now wasn't required then. Like the man didn't have to be emotionally intelligent or make the woman feel wanted or what's not. Like, no, like I ain't there for that. I had to give you my check. I work and then I gone. So you take this money and you raise these kids and you call me when I need to beat them. What's not?
Yeah.
Like you,
and
like
you might get slapping them out every so often.
Exactly. Like
as well. Like that's a part of the deal.
You might have to take one. You might have to take one because they're like, who you talking to? I hearing you more than I seeing you. And that's it. But now that we see that in 2020, like, no, we need emotional intelligence. We need men to not only be providers, but to be like emotional partners as well.
I feel like a lot of problems, and here's the thing. I don't necessarily, it's not even necessarily emotional intelligence, it's emotional awareness, because I need you to be able to self-regulate. That's the issue here. Because if you can't self-regulate, then that means you either binging, you drinking, you doing weird things, you abusing me. And that ain't that ain't what I need. Like 99.9% of the time, what men don't necessarily understand is that women just want you to be able to handle yourself. You know, like,
Right.
yeah, lean on me when you need me. That's no issue.
Mm.
But if you can't emotionally regulate, you're going to lash out in so many different ways and you're not going to understand why. And that's not going to help us in a relationship either.
Yeah.
And even
I
with that,
mean,
See,
sorry, we getting some record. I
feel
actually
like
wanna
I know, right?
it's like
I
double
actually
dutch.
wanna
Everybody jump
make
in.
a case. I skipping
Not a
points
double
here,
dutch.
but I want to make a case that a lot of expectations put on men in that regard. When I mean, when you consider the trauma and the past, you know, just the pathology of like not having dads and not daddy. Even when you have dads, you don't really get that. Like, I mean, there are guys who have a great relationship with their dad. Shout out to them. I don't know them niggas, but like there's people like when you consider all of that stuff and then we're supposed to be able to handle ourselves, like how, right? And then I do think there's also like this narrative of like women aren't trash, and it's like women can be trash. Like I just want to put that like for the record, like women can be trash.
doubt.
Like there's a lot of trash
That's
women.
what you go to record.
Absolutely.
That's what you go to record
Yes,
for.
please.
That's what you go to record for.
Like women can be trash, and I think
Absolutely.
sometimes there's like this thing where it's like, oh, men trash, but like we inherently trash, and then if a woman is trash, drum roll, she trash because because a nigga, right? Because a dude make her
Somebody
trash,
trying to give
and
you
it's
the
like
reason.
no. Just
All
how
the
hard
time.
it is for you to self-regulate, just how hard it is for you to deal with life, and your mama was in there and all that stuff. It's also hard for us. And then there's the expectation of being a leader. How do you lead? It's like you driving a boat, you never take boating lessons, right? So it's like,
See, but here's the thing.
yeah,
Two things. JD mentioned the whole us lacking the self awareness, which I completely agree. Like emotionally aware, we're extremely lacking as a culture and as men specifically. We lack. The second part of that too is I feel like what we tend to do a lot is use the traumas that we have and hold on to them as a crutch. It's only so long I'm saying, hey, I want to drive a boat, but I don't know how to drive. Go learn how to drive the damn boat, nigga. You can't use I don't know how to drive a
for
boat as an
sure,
excuse. Go learn.
for sure, for
Go
sure. I
learn.
appreciate that. I do think
You see what I'm saying?
I do respect that. However, there's be like this glitch from that to this, and it's like, but who can teach me how to drive the boat? Proof, you can teach me. Your daddy can teach me.
Beloved,
My
there are
granddaddy can teach me.
tools.
Nah, like there are tools, but I do think there's like there's this expectation of getting it right relatively quickly and in a way
Here's the
that's
thing,
like kind of
in most
dismissive in a way.
in most instances, some of those expectations are self-imposed, but we put them expectations on ourselves, but you see what
Ooh,
I'm
go
saying? And that
off.
make it hard for us and everybody else that we encounter. Right?
Okay, and I hear you, and I put down my trump card. Where's the gender matrix? So I just had a thought is that like we put ourselves on and sometimes put ourselves in those own expectations because that's the matrix we in. Like we in this matrix where okay, we supposed to be these things, we supposed to look like this, we supposed to do that. And when the minute you take the other pill where it's like that don't necessarily have to be like that. Like you don't necessarily have to fall in line with this matrix. Like as men, I feel like all of us have entered the matrix where okay, be as hard as you can, no emotions, don't cry, that's usually gal. Get as much gals as you could because that verifies that your manhood. Because the more women you knock down, the more manly you is. Get enough money because you ain't no nigga without no money because you gotta provide. And then you got to make sure like certain vanity things, they are like your coin got to be good, your money got to be good, your Honda got to be good. It's like these the matrix things. And if you don't have that that moment where you wake out in the matrix, you would still put those things on yourself and you wouldn't know.
But where does that begin and end? Do you know what I mean? Like
society, bro. Society is the culprit,
but we are society. We are society.
Yes.
And it's like
culture society.
And
Culture
most of these expectations are unrealistic, but
I never ascribed to the don't cry thing. I was crying for my little boy. But but like there are expectations that I do think it's like it's still the how. I think yes, we know what we need to do. Like I know I need to somehow be better and da da da. But it's like, how? There's no one to teach you. And I get it. Like,
Mhm.
it's always like, oh man, you could go and read a book or like suppose I gotta read. Like
No, but
you're
I hear
really
you. I
taking a
hear you.
lot of assumptions.
Yeah,
You're making a
I
lot of
hear you.
assumptions that would
I hear
lead
you.
to a certain result. But it's like,
Mhm.
bro, it's hard, bro. It's hard to go from
facts.
being a thing like you said that's intrinsic that like we just grow up with, that's even unspoken, to like okay being different, and then watch this. After you do all that work, you gotta find a woman who is doing the work too. Good luck.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, good luck and Godspeed. But I mean,
yeah.
Hmm.
okay, cool. So there's a point in this that I think there are two things that came to mind while you guys were talking about that just now. One is self-awareness is a big deal, right? So like we need to learn to spend some time with ourselves, right? And ask ourselves, are we truly happy? You want to know how to get out of the matrix? Ask yourself, like by yourself, no influence of anything, no music, no nothing, no people, no social media, no nothing, right?
Mhm.
And I want you to sit there and ask yourself one day, am I happy? Like, am I satisfied with the life that I am living? And like when you ask yourself that and you realize, okay, cool, I'm satisfied in this way, but not necessarily in this way. Then you figure out, okay, how do I get from this point A to point C where I'm actually happy? And so then when you start to, what I do is I think about my life like a project. Like I always working on projects. So I know how to get through a
Production.
project. Yeah, I know how to get through a project from concept to distribution, right? Cool. I said, why don't I just project manage my life if that's the case? So
Mm.
I'm going to look at it in that aspect. This is good here. I'm good over here. I don't necessarily like this. So what can I do to work on this thing? Okay, cool. I think I don't necessarily like the way I look in these clothes. So I'm not going to blame the clothes. I can blame me. So I'm going to the gym. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do, and that's a level of self awareness and being honest with yourself that you have to be willing to do in order to
Right.
find a way to break yourself out of the matrix and realize I really need that. Because again, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, it's waking up one morning and realizing that you have free will. So that's one. Two, the other side of it is we continue to perpetuate the narrative of the matrix through social media because
Mhm.
when people doing the things that they do to get likes, which is the same things of getting the coin chains and knocking down all the gals and
Hmm.
being a hot gal and city girls up, city boys up, city
City
girls, y'all.
boys.
Yep. So like
Oh,
when we continue to consume things that tell us that this is what we're supposed to be living like, this is the things, these are the things that we're supposed to be aspiring to, and when we don't do that, we feel some type of way about it. Then you got to ask yourself, do I really want that? So
Yeah.
what are you pouring into yourself as well?
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate what y'all saying. I this we could go on. I think you make like really strong points. I do wonder if there is a privilege attached to that. Like, is that like how you are naturally? Like that perspective is like, I gotta. That's really mature, practical
Absolutely not. I,
perspective.
I, I was not initially like this. I mean, I'm born this big. I had to learn. I had to stomp my toe plenty. Like it
Right.
also, yeah, it's very much so. It's still a journey. It's giving yourself grace, like you said. Like
Mhm.
yes, I'm navigating towards a thing. It's also not putting that expectation on yourself, saying that I must accomplish this thing in this particular time. I need to accomplish
Hmm.
this thing in the time that my life around me, my general life around me, and my body can handle, and whatever aspects that it is that contributes
Mhm.
to that. And you have to pace yourself. You literally in a race against yourself, babe. And like
Hmm.
coming to terms with that, when you actually come to terms with that, it changes the game. But like, no, I wasn't always like that. I was very much so people pleasing, concerned about what people thought about me and like the whole nine. Like I had every version of that. However, comma,
Yeah,
I went to therapy.
for sure. I will say
I
this
am
before we move on.
so happy you
Tools.
went there. I'm
Let me
so
say this
happy
before
you
we
went
move
there.
on because I have like 35 more questions. Um, I will say like things like that lean towards women. Like women are encouraged to do like the therapy and the
Mhm.
self-regulating and the awareness and journal and stuff. It's only really more recently that like now that's like straight across the board, and
Mhm.
that's kind of like I still think there's a privilege there that most dudes, especially shout out my niggas from what I mean, Pinewood, Deep South, so
Yeah.
Niggas like that ain't really grow up with that. Like you talking gibberish to them. I can be honest, but we can move on. And obviously this it has to start somewhere, right? Like if you have the ability and you have the awareness and the intelligence, do the work, go to therapy. I think I cut you off, Proof. You wanted to say something?
No, you
No,
good.
I was about to say it's ultimately about influence, by
Mm-hmm.
we're severely influenced by church, school, the neighborhoods we grow up, social media killing us right now, bro. I read this text earlier today. There was a university article where they did a study on, I think, like 50 adults, and they was like, all right, I need you to put down your cell phone and only pick it up for important calls or work items pertaining to work. No social media, no random messages, nothing. 72 hours, put it down. And it was like, because we're so caught up on chasing the next dopamine hit. We're glued to our devices, and that literally rewires our brain, right? Set the phone down for 3 hours, keep it restricted to calls, keep it restricted to work. The brain rewired itself to not require that dopamine hit. And I feel like it's the same way in society now when it comes to how we're perceived, how people see us. The idea that if
Mm-hmm.
I need to talk to money, but how I feel, I soft. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like all of that is influenced by church, school, the hood we grew up in,
yeah.
social media. Social
So
media is
we need a
literally
hard
the
reset.
biggest culprits.
Mhm.
And other
Pretty
men,
much. Right.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
because even
Yeah.
listen to the way you said it just now when you said journaling and therapy, like the tone
Mhm.
of voice, and then when you referred to your niggas in the deep south, your niggas in the deep south, and I'm like,
So
the
shout out to
tone,
South.
the tone is different, right? So like
Yeah, for sure.
it's what connotation you put to it as well. So like I could
But
have
no, it's also what women attribute to it,
I
and
know a
that's
lot of I know a lot of hood niggas that is meditate.
yeah, they
Hold on.
meditate, right?
Now there's a difference between catching a Medi and meditate. Now there's a difference. Listen to me. Listen to me. All right. Twin number they just passed. So R.I.P. Nick, R.I.P. Ellie. So I know there's a difference between
Yeah.
meditation and Medi. And you MTK said the word privilege, and in me thinking of like when the snap of the matrix happened for me, it really is a privilege because I was tags on everything, tore me down. If it ain't tore me, ain't
They
on me,
ain't on
nigga.
them. Absolutely not.
Until it was a privilege where I went to New York and like I had the freedom to wear whatever I wanted to wear, and I was there like, should I pick up these 48 jeans, or should I buy some jeans that actually fit me? And I buy jeans that fit me, and like that's what I wanted to do. And like
Yeah.
everybody was in there like, "Why you like Marty?" But like I had the freedom to be myself, and I was there like, I don't think I like baggy jeans and Tommy shirts no more. I think I want to dress like this, but it's there like you have to have the privilege to escape or access to a certain
To
thing to
even
say
know
that,
there's an alternative, to be honest,
yeah,
like
Just
them,
exposure.
yeah,
yeah,
they don't. Some people don't even know what is journaling, what is that. But once again, this could have to be a bar do because I
that's
still
it.
have questions.
Yeah, but hold on, let me tell. I always say access because I
Mhm.
had my sister had a boyfriend one time, and he never left being town, like being in Grandstown. He never
Yeah,
left being in Grandstown, and that sounds so silly, but he always thought that Golden Gates just had one big Golden Gate. And while he was driving, and he was there like this Golden Gates, like he don't see the gate, like he was looking for the gate, and I was
that's
there like
crazy.
I was like I wanted it to be a joke so bad,
It be like that.
but he didn't know that like what Golden Gates look like.
It
That's
be like that.
Correct.
crazy, bro. It's access. Like
That's a
access is a
beautiful
crazy
analogy.
thing.
Can we just especially using therapy where it's whole space for that analogy? Oh, that was
Like
good.
he was in Golden Gates looking for the gate because he never left being in Grandstown.
Watch this and watch how deep it get. Ain't no golden gate, son. There's no gate is golden. But anyway, that's a different that's a different episode. You'll never
Oh,
find that golden gate, my nigga. But yeah, Poof, you have something to chime in?
No. You good. You good.
Okay,
Who's that?
moving on to
Who's
this
that?
next
Who's
question.
that? No, I self gates is what I want.
Jubilee Gardens.
Yeah,
There's no Jubilee. But
that
anyway,
right house in Vincent, but that house in Vincent. I know where that is.
so I want to ask this question real quick: are women the new men? And I wanna ask that seriously, like
In
from
what
a
way?
woman's POV. Like,
J-
you know,
JD, you be standing up now? Yes or no?
no,
I
no, no.
don't.
What I mean to say is, I know you can't speak for all women, but I think now, I just want to ask a question: do you think success for women is essentially mimicking what success is traditionally in a masculine context? Or I don't want to use the term masculine, but in a traditional male context, is it like, oh yeah, I want the CEO position, and is it like just like adopting that, like all women are new men? Because y'all winning like professionally, I would say women doing much better than women niggas, generally
For sure.
speaking.
For sure.
Mm.
Hands down.
We got to
Women?
start the Patreon, man.
Do I think women are the new men? No. I feel like so I feel like women
That's
are
an honest answer.
naturally overachievers, right? So I think anything. What was it? Was it Pastor Miles Monroe who was like, anything you give a woman, she's make it better,
She's gonna
and
multiply because that's her
she
job.
multiplies and make it better.
Incubators, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think it's the same setup. I don't think women study in men. I think that's the difference. I think that's the realization that men aren't have been coming to, and why you're encountering like things like studies that people are now conducting about the male loneliness epidemic and all of that. It's literally just that women ain't got men to study right now. And I feel that in a lot of different ways. I think women are just pursuing the things that they always wanted and just giving themselves an opportunity to achieve things and not idolize what society asked them to idolize. And I think when given the opportunity to expand themselves in different ways, they expand. And sure, it comes off dominant because they want to be respected in the spaces that they've been navigating just like anybody else. But like, I don't think they're the new men. I think I will tell you, as a young woman that is very deeply entwined in her professional career, I want nothing more than to turn my brain off.
Yeah.
That is the best thing in the world to me. So any man that can give me the space to do that is all that I need.
Right. But yeah, I hear you. But is it that, because for me, what is that distinction? What is like, okay, men think money, power, having a lot of women is power or respect, right? Or success, right? What is that thing for women? What do women, generally speaking, consider success? I think it's similar. I think it's kind of like the same things these days.
I can't speak for all women, even though
No, make a generalization. Go ahead.
I don't want to make a generalization
disclaimer.
because I know what I like. I know what I work into.
Generalization.
I'm
Bring your shoulders. We dubbing you queen of the woman's them.
Please don't. Because that can make me responsible for them, and I don't need that level of responsibility. I don't think I'm that like responsible as a person. I will tell you what I think is success. It is deciding today, tomorrow, in the next 5 minutes that I want to buy a ticket, and I do that. It's going to brunch with my friends and not caring what the bill looks like. It is literally having access to everything that I need because I already have that access to that. I don't have to go through anybody. Nobody's gatekeeping anything from me. Success looks very different to every woman. Because to some, success looks like the house, the white picket fence, the two churn, and the husband, and a dog, and maybe a goldfish. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very different for every woman. And to make a generalized statement when certain women don't want to work in this life and some people just only want to work, I can't do that. But I will tell you, I work towards not having to look at my bank account for nothing.
Yeah. You guys are not a monolith. I get it. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I like I say, I was gonna give you license to make a generalization because I do think it's interesting. You know, every woman is different for sure. But when we hear things about men, I think all of us could attest here. It's almost always a generalization. You're not talking about the best percentage of men. It's like this generalization, and it's often like leaning towards like, yeah, the worst of them, right?
Mhm.
So it's just interesting. Once again, I do think there's a privilege that exists that maybe women aren't aware of, and I think that's something we could think on and spin a block on that. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so we kind of alluded to this, but do you think it's harder to be a man today because of women's awareness as access to do it? Women are aware. They out there doing the thing. They producing the shows and they watching the anime. No, I just but no, like women are aware they out there being successful, and do you think because of how far women have come, it's even harder to be um, a good man? I said that with the air quotes.
I was speaking to a friend the other day. Very educated, very extremely educated,
She
and she
get
was
all of
telling
these
me
GCSEs.
every last one, and a couple other letters behind that as well, right?
That's it.
And she was telling me how difficult it is in the dating pool, right? She lives in the U.S. and she was like she said to me, I am on several dating apps and I never. She's a professor at a university. She said, I never put professor in my bio because that intimidates men, right? I say that to say successful women, whatever success looks like to women in this modern age, scares off men. The fake ones, not the real dudes. Because real dudes ain't intimidated by your status and what you could bring to the table, right? But considering that the picking is already slim for women, right? If you are already established or on your path to establishing yourself in whatever it is that you're tackling, you're gonna scare off a lot of dudes. Which in of itself is a good thing because they weeding themselves out. But in terms of gender roles, it's like the average dude is probably gonna be like, she don't need me. Whatever she needs, she could buy for herself. She could do for herself. She could pay somebody to do it. What she need me for, which makes it so much more difficult for your JD.
Hmm.
I'm sad to say,
I was just
sad to
about to
say.
say this wasn't my question, but it made me think of something Jay said earlier, where it was just like men are kind of held to a different standard, and I think the thing that makes it difficult is that men literally only had to do the bare minimum to attract a woman versus like somebody that has and does all of the things for themselves, and like what do you bring them but the bare minimum? And so it's like really and truly you just scaring off the people with the bare minimum. So it's like, no, like this is where it comes in when women want you to be emotionally intelligent, want you to offer something else, because like what you're doing I can do for myself. And those are those type of situations. And yes, it does make it difficult dating, of course it does, absolutely, very naturally. Because like people, like you said, people weed themselves out. People have a conversation with you. I've had people stop talking to me when they heard my voice on the phone.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
That is really
you
unfortunate.
be using too much big words, so they're like, not really yet, not really
Like,
yet.
what that mean?
What does that even mean? I don't even use big words with people when I first meet
I feel your pain. I feel I feel for you.
them. Like you
Yeah,
sound too confident.
I
I ain't
definitely I definitely can appreciate. Uh, you know, I think one of the things you can take from this conversation on the whole is like, hey, it's a two-sided thing, right? Like, just like y'all gonna do, we gonna do. It's hard to navigate being a woman, and it's hard to navigate being a man. I think uh, the gender wars thing is like is who wins in that situation. With the Jay-Z quote is nobody wins in a
nobody
family
wins when
feud,
the family
Yeah.
feuds.
so
I just
mhm.
want to add, in closing and thinking about that, the proof, just to bring in proof point on JD's point, I think that as society has progressed, we have or for women to the women's meetings, they've descented men. So like men ain't in the focus no more. Women start to give themselves what they want instead of saying, okay, you focus on the man to give me these things. So women they shift their attention to themselves, whereas bettering themselves and things like that. I don't think that the at the men's meetings, like the penis carriers anonymous or was not, like I don't think like we had that access to come
I
in.
never been to that meeting.
We'd have,
Y'all
we'd have
don't
to
even
Y'all
have a
don't invite
venue
don't invite
associated
me
with
either.
that.
Not
Yeah,
even
there's
invite me
something.
to that.
There's something at the National Trading Agency. But I feel like them said who's be at the meeting.
Wednesday, 7 o'clock.
I when I said 7 o'clock, I ain't gonna make the excuse, but it's that they didn't have the access or what's not to know that hey, these said over here like they progressing, like they descend like decent men, like y'all need to like pick it up, like even if you scroll Facebook, you would see a women's conference or something like every other month. Where the like the better niggas conference, like where
Hey,
the
and if there is one, it's some nigga in a shiny suit trying to tell you something, trying to sell you on course. You know what I
yeah.
mean? For sure. I
So
definitely see
so is
that a
that
lot.
like while I won't make excuses for the people that on the boat and don't know how to drive it, so they just sink in. I would say that I would like to see, and that might be a call for me to start that or whoever. We need to see more boatmen teach niggas how to drive the boat
Yeah,
because
pause.
like
Yeah.
yeah, pause if applicable. But yeah, we need to see more boatmen teaching other niggas how to drive the boat.
Yeah, we need some seamen to just
Yeah,
teach
we
us how
need
to.
more we need more seamen out here.
But no, yeah,
Yes, motherfuckers.
that's a great point. I think
Yeah, that
obviously
is a
it's
good
gonna
point.
take teaching. I will say this: I do think it's an oversimplification to be like
Yeah.
women ain't on men run no more because I don't think that's true. But y'all want mine. Yeah, most women want a man. Most women want a partner. It's a human thing, right? Like most women want a partner that they can build with and grow with.
Yeah.
Um, and I do think like sometimes it's like, oh, I need if it happened, like stop. You want a man. I think most women want partnership, and I think sometimes that could be a cop out as well, especially when just like a man, like there's things we need to do in order to have a successful relationship. There's things women need to do for the same thing, and sometimes you see men like, oh, I need to get married for them because you don't want to do the right thing because you don't want to do what's necessary, and that goes both ways. There are women that definitely don't want to do what's necessary in order to be the sort of partner that would be required, and I think sometimes it's oversimplification, in my opinion. Yeah, one last thing before we wrap it up.
Let's
This
go.
episode got kind of long, but it's a good conversation. So I don't know if you know, but we've been nominating culture icons throughout the season,
Okay.
and we each pick our culture icons. We have a set of nominees, and then we eliminate every week. So we in the really the heavy stuff now. We deep. It's like what semifinals almost. So
Ooh.
the current nominees are Debbie Ferguson, Leslie
Mhm.
Miller, Buckake, Collage Entertainment, Perry Christie, and Rodney Monk, the late great. And then we also have places. So we have Bamboo Shack, Superwash, Goodman's Bay. Just for some context, they've been trying to get rid of Bamboo Shack, and they actually got rid of the fry, which is
Hey,
absolutely crazy.
ain't no campaigning, son.
No, I
Just
just
call it.
letting them know what's going on, and I mean
You gotta
they
preface
got
this,
rid of
bro.
Mother Prep, which is
Oh
disrespectful.
my
But
gosh. Wow.
so just for context, that's the type of stuff we've been dealing with. So today
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask Proof to kick us off. But who you think should go home today and
Oh,
why?
I really hate it.
Oh my
I
gosh,
really
this
hate
is
to do this.
intense.
It is intense. I really hate to have to do this. She's the last female on the list, but Debbie gotta go, boy.
Bro, on the one about gender, really?
That's
Bro, you
crazy,
you realize last time you for the record,
bro.
yo, for the last
That's
time he got rid of one of the only females, and now you coming again, and you was the one who mentioned you was the first one to nominate a woman. Boy, y'all disrespectful.
Yeah,
That's
but Debbie gotta go though.
Why?
Bro, you see who left, right?
Debbie have a gold Olympic medal. Anyone else ever? Well, Leslie Miller never won
Congrats,
it.
con- congrats to Debbie,
Leslie have a
right?
gold chain though.
I
He does
that's
that.
I
That he
a
does.
appreciate I appreciate the contributions he has made to the athletic society in our country. She's definitely paved the way for female athletes and athletes at large. But I mean, when you size up against everybody else left, she like the weakest link right
She's
now.
an Olympic gold medalist, but Bayman's still
She like
Bayman's
she
amazing.
she
Bro.
She like the weakest link right
It's
now.
like our standard so high. It's like, yeah, you
Like
know,
the weakest
it's just
link
people who
is
do other
Yeah, bro.
crazy.
Nah,
like
son.
there's
I
probably
mean, I
there's
mean,
probably less than 100 black women in the world with that. I mean, but whatever. It's your choice. What do you
Yeah.
think, Jay?
Hold on, give me the nominees again. Let me hit them again. I just need
So
to
we
make sure.
yeah, we currently sitting at Debbie Ferguson, Leslie Miller, Collage Entertainment, Perry Christie, and Rodney Monker.
For me, I gotta
Mhm.
go with I gotta go to late great Rodney. I think everybody like we can't that is them gold medals is the reason why coin chains is a thing. So Debbie gotta stick around. I think Port Cake done had so much consecutive terms like you can't get. He's the only icon that have iconic like people coming up. Port Cake Jr. Shout out to Port Cake Jr. I don't know if that's apologies if that's
Stop
offensive.
calling this woman Podcast Junior, bro.
I feel like that's the thing. Like Port Cake gotta stay. Peg Christie. I up to my middle finger up. Collage Entertainment. Like I said the other day. I feel like Rodney, although his contributes have been iconic nonetheless, and I still mourning that loss in my heart. Because like I was planning on taking my wife to the straw bed because of Rodney, but I gotta let him go. Rodney is my goal.
Wow. That's crazy, bro.
You better don't go no track. I'm voting for Debbie.
Boy, I know this is a tough one. I ain't gonna lie. It really is tough. But um JD you have to break the dam because I gotta go ahead and vote Collage, bro. I appreciate what they do. You slide through last time, TJ. Appreciate you. I really do hope niggas stop liking mine.
backstory, JD. You won't believe we just had Tyrone, the founder of Collage Entertainment.
Oh no,
on
I'm
the
very
show
familiar.
on the
I
last
grew up
episode.
underneath. I grew up
We
underneath
had him on the
Collage.
last episode, bro.
And I
We
couldn't
had
wait for him
on
to
the
go
last
so I could do
episode,
this.
and you would.
I'm very intricately familiar with Collage. Like I
Wait,
grew up underneath
Tyrone,
them.
don't watch this episode. Like,
Collage is my niggas, dog. I have a Collage in the room now with me. But the point is, we got an Olympic gold medalist. We have, like you say, legendary politician and just a figure. I mean, this boy give us quotables. Rodney Monker, the late great. I'm going to hell. I'm not gonna let Rodney go just yet. And then we have Perry Christie, a consecutive prime minister. I mean, come on, bro. Collage them, they did a great work, paved the creative way for a lot of greats. But I think out of this list today, they the most appropriate person to send home. I know you got the tags on everything.
It's
So.
so much for the culture. Like,
All right.
tags on everything.
about?
I know this
They
is
don't have an Olympic gold medal.
It's a heavy burden for a woman, but you got to carry this and let us know. You got to give us a vote, JD. Who going?
You said so. Right now we have Debbie
Ferguson,
Rodney, and Collage.
And
the MPs.
I ain't knocking out
And
Collage because they the reason I do what I do. So let's start there.
Wow. Now I look like a douchebag.
Okay.
Though the her presence on social media can be a bit problematic. I mean, a gold medal that's a big deal. And like, truth be told, track is like the real national sport. So like,
yeah, I
can't go Debbie. And like, and the irony of having to side with Jay is because like I used to produce Rodney show, so that was my dog. Like we bought like our birthdays is like 2 days apart, so like he used to make me mad, but like that's still my dog. But I have to side with Jay in this one because although he's quotable, I know he's leader the woman now, and it feels very anti-woman to do this. I'm sorry, ladies.
It is.
Don't cancel me. Don't call me a pick me. Don't do none of that. But either way, things. I hear the insults being hurled already, but like I'm gonna have to go with my leader. because he was a bit problematic. He really had some people pulling up on people, on some innocent people, and doing some strange things.
Allegedly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Rodney gone. Rodney gone. I mean, he gone again, but he gone.
Oh man. I
Wow.
wasn't prepared for that, Joe. Just let the record state that had nothing to do
Wow,
with
G.
this.
He
I'm,
going
I'm
again.
sorry. I'm sorry.
The people are ironically the people that have spoken and Rodney. Rodney is
R.I.P. R.I.P. Dog, man. Big dog.
R.I.P. again.
on the face. Okay, quickly, places. Make your vote for the place that go in. Let's do it.
Who our places is? What we got left? We got Superwash, Bamboo,
We got Super Wash,
Goodman's
Bamboo,
Bay.
Goodman's Bay. Proof, hit us up. Granny's kitchen in here. I don't have nothing but them, please. Thanks. What you got?
The only reason why Bamboo living right now is because we trying to get them a sponsor. Hey, if we looking for sponsors, that you all come through.
Oh my
Right?
God.
I can let y'all live. I can let y'all live. I voting Super Wash off, but so Goodman Bay gotta go. Super Wash. I
Washes your prostitute cleans
presses,
and
it cleans
hands
you
you
and entertains you
24/7.
24/7.
Bro, you can wash your clothes home. Matter of fact, watch this.
That don't,
You can wash
that
your
don't
clothes at
make them
Goodman's Bay,
any-
nigga.
Exactly.
That don't
Exactly.
make them no less entertain. That don't make them no less iconic.
My vote for Superwash. Because you ain't getting rid of Goodman's Bay. Gotta stay.
Oh, let's go. Goodman's Bay, gotta stay.
Goodman's
Goodman's
Oh,
Bay.
wait, what's
Bay,
happening?
gotta
What's happening,
stay.
JD? You supposed to be neutral here. What's
No. She know. She know.
My vote for Superwash, buddy.
My hot
She
girl
gotta
walk is
balance this
happened by
money.
Goodman's Bay, so I can't get that.
oh
up.
wow.
There you go. Hey,
The hot
that
girl
wasn't my
walks
point
in.
last week. That was my point. People walking and getting the exercises in, and y'all trying to do
Bro,
that.
you
It's
can
a
walk your block, but
no. You can wash your clothes and your top, my nigga. You talking about super
that don't
wash
make Super
over
Wash
Goodman's
any
Bay,
less iconic. But
bro? Y'all putting all them jinglangs in them people machine, and y'all trying to come over the beach, bro. You go to the beach to meditate. You go to the beach to swim. You go to the beach to get a tan. You go to the beach to sell jet ski to tourists. All these different days that boosts the economy, and you go and
Exactly.
talk about just giving the ugly your jinglangs. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Wash.
We gotta go ahead and say super wash. I can think of clever Jay. What you got?
Superwash get washed away. That's it.
Wash it. They wash now. That's it.
They
Oh.
washed.
oh
And I just
man,
come up with something better than that. But okay,
That's it.
Outside
super
of
wash
that
done.
outside of that jingle, yeah, no, it's a pain.
Yeah, and I have a hot take. I guys write commercials for a living. The commercials fire in a lot of ways, but it also kind of a little mommy-ish. I always felt like it's a little mommy-ish,
It's very mommy-ish.
and
That was-
I
you gotta
can't
appreciate. No, you gotta appreciate it.
I
Like you
can't
said,
get all the way with it. I
no,
think
you
the
got-
actors are brilliant in it. I think
that's
there's
the
something
culture,
about
my
it that's
guy.
special, but
That's
she
the
little
culture,
mommy-ish,
bro.
and I really,
That's the culture,
Yeah.
bro.
I really love it.
Superwash.
But
For the culture.
Super Watch gone. That's it, y'all. Thanks for sticking around for this
I
one.
can't wait to vote. I can't wait to vote Goodman's Bay off next week, bro.
Well, the freeze. You just
You're
being
right.
you just
vendetta.
Use the spiteful.
I can't wait.
Mind. Use the spiteful mind.
Mother sick, I can't wait.
victimization, but you
Can't
like
wait.
you like allegedly like one of them politicians. But anyway, all right. So thanks for tuning in. This has been Culture Quest. I appreciate you coming through, JD. And yeah, until next time, link up.
We out here.
Bad.